Peace and love, y'all. It's your brother A.D.V.I.S.S, and we're back again with another episode of Words Are Real Spells, aka Wars. And that's episode 5. Thank you all for coming back. And we are here with another breakdown, another word that we can look into and figure out, because the English language is weird and a language of spells. But before we get into the word, of course, I got to give you the disclaimer and then the 4 ways. I'm going to have them in the link in the description so you can read them and see the 4 ways how we break words down. Now, disclaimer. This is not exhaustive research of the word. This is my logical and personal connections to the word and understandings of it. And I've only done a few days to hours of research on a word. I didn't do this for whole months to years. So at the end of the day, take it at face value and continue to do your own research on the word. But with that, the 4 ways, like I said, going to put it in the description so you can see how to do that. And now we're going to move to the word for today, which today's word going to be on either side is ignorance. Now, once again, I have it here on my phone. I'm going to read off some of them, but I'm not going to go through every one, but you get to see them as they are on the screen. So the first one we have, it says the condition of being uneducated, unaware, or uninformed. Keep those in mind. Second one you have, lack of knowledge or information. And the other one that I like to just point out that it has on here is it has been used in the sense of the act of ignoring. And the proverb in the form of where ignorance is bliss, 'tis folly to be wise, which we'll get into that a little bit later too. But those are the breakdowns for the definition of ignorance. I'll also throw up some synonyms that you can look at too if any jump out at you. And most of them that I'm seeing, I see stupidity, blindness, intelligence, which is the opposites, and then as well as inexperience. There's a few others, but I'll have them right up here on the screen for you. Now that was the first way. Now the second way, now we're going to break down the word into syllables. And in this particular case, it's ignorance, which is 3 syllables. But for the sake of how the word is broken into, I'm just only going to go into 2 of the syllables. I'm breaking down the ignore and then the ants. Okay? So, now for the word ignore. If you see it a little clearly, you'll see that it's very similar to a particular word, which in this particular case is ignore. So, in this case, I'm going to put up ignore and you'll look through it. So, with ignore, it says to refuse to pay attention to, disregard. And then I'll put up the other one. Main thing is disregard intentionally and refusing. And then the last one we have here too, to be unaware of. The sense of to pass over without notice. And this one is from the etymology dictionary. You can see that. But those are for the ignore part. Now for the ants, which is the ance, it is a forming nouns denoting a quality or state or an instance of one. So a lot of these words that have this, at least especially the suffixes, a lot of them, if it's the ance, the ings, and some of them, they will be a lot about the state, quality, or in some cases, action. So those are usually those elements. And you'll see the other one for it down here too. Once again, it's a word forming element attached to the verbs to form abstract nouns or a process or fact. Once again, state of quality, as well as there's a lot more information for you there. So now that we have the both ignore and the ants together to make the ignorance, now I have the definition that I want to share with you for it. So, my definition of ignorance is the state and action of conditioning oneself intentionally to not pay attention. One more time. Ignorance. The state and action of conditioning oneself intentionally to not pay attention. Now, when I say ignorance is the state and action of conditioning oneself intentionally to not pay attention, is for these following reasons. First one, when we think of ignorance and you basically, how I have it, you're ignoring something. So you are choosing not to include yourself, to be aware of, and to take on that something that is right in front of you, an issue that is happening, is valid. It's here. So you're not giving it any time and no energy. So that, in this particular case, you take that choice to say, forget it. It's not there. It's not bothering me. So there's no issue for me to even get involved. And we see this a lot. Whether it is a family member that you know, whether it's a celebrity on TV that may be denying something, whether it is a state official or politician, you see it everywhere. They're aware of it. Like, we can be aware of our situations, but at the end of the day, is if we choose to either pay attention to it or ignore it. Now, the second reason I have is that ignorance, once again, it's that state, it's that condition. So it is a mindset. So it's something that we use as a defense mechanism to avoid an issue or a situation that is right in front of us, or it may be behind us, or it can be in the back of our minds. And we use it so effectively as a mechanism to cope with, because we deep down are not ready. We may have that fear, false evidence appearing real, that's keeping us from wanting to even go into engage in that. And we decide, yo, this is it. I'm not worried about it. Yo, has nothing to do with me. I'm good. I'm not ready. None of that. And the more that we get too into that mindset and that state, and we stay there and we just decide to avoid it, we put ourselves in the one that I have, point, which is 3. We put ourselves in a state of being complacent and not willing to accept and grow past the particular issue, problem, situation, whatever it may be. We just push it to the side, say it has nothing to do with us, there's no problem, there's no issue. And then when it starts to blow up even more in your face, you still take that choice to be like, no. You put yourself in this state of insanity, right? There's the whole thing about, continue to do something to get the same result with doing the same thing. Is that form of insanity, is that we keep on avoiding and think it's going to go away. And then guess what? It continues to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And I mean, this whole situation that we're in, in the world, those are different products of people's ignorance. And when I'm coming to saying that when it comes to the ignorance, the main thing is that you want to be able to be aware of it. You want to make sure that you're giving that time and just not saying, yo, that's it. I don't want to deal with it. But before we finish, because I can keep going, I wanted to share the quote from Thomas Gray that I talked about, that I said earlier, which is ignorance is bliss. And it was from a poem they did, which was Ode to a Distant Prospect in the college thing. So I just wanted to share it, and then we'll end out and be good. All right. So he writes, to each his sufferings, all are men. Condemned alike to groan, the tender of another's pain, the unfeeling of his own. Yet why should they know their fate? Since sorrow never comes too late, and happiness too swiftly flies. Thought would destroy their paradise no more. Where ignorance is bliss, 'tis folly to be wise. And that was again from Thomas Gray. This is all in fair use. We could break that down even further, but I just wanted to leave you with that. At the end of the day, that ignorance is bliss, but remember that a mind state of always being closed off and not open to seeing more and challenging yourself to grow is an even worse state and can keep you complacent. But with that, y'all, I appreciate y'all. Please put more down in the comments of other words. Either if there's any more on this word, put your understandings and what you see on it. But I appreciate y'all again with another episode. This has been number 5. I've been your brother A.D.V.I.S., adding vision for you to envision your own thoughts, words, and decisions. Peace. I'm out.
We can't see that well, so you know we can't see that well. We need lenses. You know we can't see that well, so you know we can't see that well.